There's a lot of excitement and anticipation for the coming episodes of Ahsoka, especially this next one. We are halfway through the season, and words can't explain how happy I am to get some Star Wars that, for the most part, the fandom has united over. I think the last time this happened was with The Mandalorian Season 2, and things sort of just fell off after that. But with Ahsoka, there's been a significant amount of theories and questions coming up, especially regarding around the character of Baylan, who, in my opinion, is easily one of the most interesting and intriguing villains we've gotten in Star Wars in a long time. And one of the biggest questions I and many others have had for him not only revolves around his past, but also his present. Is Baylan a Grey Jedi? And is this even possible? So welcome back everyone to another Star Wars video. I've recently just been covering the news and reviewing these episodes, but I do have a bold theory on who Baylan once was and what his true motivations are for finding Thrawn in this new galaxy. So let's get into it. The first thing we need to do is to define what even is a Grey Jedi, and the thing about it is, there is no defining answer for this term, at least in canon. It's not something that currently exists. But could this be brought into canon? If they do, I think Baylan would be the perfect example of this. I've seen a lot of people get angry about the term Grey Jedi, and I do understand why, but I do think there is some sort of establishment with Baylan that can make this an interesting concept, and I have a few ideas in this video on how they can expand upon it, specifically with this character. To start, Baylan clearly still cares about the Jedi and its religion, but he is on the dark side. He fell, but is not a Sith and doesn't even look too fondly of Anakin, or in this case, Darth Vader, which I think is a very important aspect for his character. Sure, he is a villain, but he looks at Darth Vader, and I assume Palpatine as well, and thinks what they did was not right at all. A Grey Jedi very well could be this: a person who either left the Jedi Order or the Jedi Order abandoned them, and they fell sort of to the dark side, but not so much that they are full of evil or even hate the Jedi. They still, in some way or another, kind of consider themselves a Jedi. We can compare the Jedi religion to real life. Let's say there's this Christian man who was betrayed by his church, and that led him down a dark path, but he still believes in the faith even though he's not a well-moraled person and really can't stand the church. He still is a Christian at the end of the day. Baylan sees Ahsoka is going to attempt to kill him, and he is disappointed by this. The last thing he wants is for another Jedi to die, as he said. Now you can say Ahsoka is technically not a Jedi, but in his mind she absolutely is a Jedi. Someone who is full of the dark side and evil wouldn't even come close to having a thought like this. Now with all of this, I do have a pretty big theory on where I think the story of Baylan is going to go with all of this that I will get into in just a second. The next thing I do want to talk about is his lightsaber. I'm not too sure which form he uses, as it's a pretty unique one with long and heavy swings, but his lightsaber not only has a very interesting look, being similar to a claymore sword, but his kyber crystal is orange. To my knowledge, we haven't seen an orange lightsaber in canon, at least not in live action and besides the video games. I think this color choice is purposeful. Dave Filoni wouldn't add this in just because it looks cool. I think there's more to it. My theory is that Baylan was once a Jedi Temple guard during the Clone Wars. The Jedi Temple guards carried yellow lightsabers and were the only Jedi in the Order to have this color with their lightsabers, so with Baylan's saber being orange and him being, yes, now a dark side Force user with some form of Jedi morals still kind of with him, you mix yellow and the Sith red lightsabers, and what do you get? You get orange. Now, I'm not saying his hilt has two crystals in it, although that's certainly an interesting concept, but I think he chose orange for a new lightsaber specifically to show that he is dark side, but he isn't completely dark side and isn't fully against the Jedi and isn't necessarily out to kill them, but he will do so if it is what it takes. So with all this comes my big theory. Baylan could be the first Grey Jedi introduced into the Star Wars canon. We do have Dark Jedi as an already established canon concept, and maybe this is where Baylan actually will fall into, but I do have this big theory on where this would take us if he is indeed a Grey Jedi. We know that he's out to find Thrawn, but why? We don't know exactly yet. We know he's fine with Thrawn starting another war, but I believe Baylan's motivations might revolve around the Jedi Order. I think it is possible Baylan is working on recreating some form of this Jedi Order, but without all the political connections that the original one had. And not just this, but it won't be based on original Jedi values, obviously. Baylan will try to get his order to lean in the middle between the light side and the dark side, and what would be, in his mind, perfectly balanced, and he feels that this is the true pathway of the Force. So basically, my idea is that Baylan is wanting to get a new, large group of Jedi out in this brand new galaxy and have them sort of embrace the dark side instead of completely abandoning it. Now, of course, I personally believe this won't turn out so well, as we do know how the Force really works, but Baylan believes it is the only path to successfully continuing the Jedi religion. It's even possible that Shin is his first student with this idea, though I personally believe she is his daughter. So guys, what do you think about my theory? I know it's kind of a wild one, but I do think there is a pretty big possibility with it. I think with Dave Filoni, this certainly is something that he could come up with, and I'm very, very happy with this show so far. As I said, I know a lot of you guys are as well. I absolutely cannot wait for episode 5. I think it's going to be kind of a crazy episode, be that in a good way or a bad way. We are so close to finding out, but I hope you guys did enjoy this Star Wars theory video. If you did, please be sure to leave a like on it, as it really does help out the channel a lot. And if you are new, why don't you go ahead and subscribe for more Star Wars news, theories, essays, and more, and I will hopefully see you in the next one.